So now let's talk a little bit about diet. So are there things, so what can you, well, let's go back to environment real quick. So are there things that you can do to kick up the strength of your immune system, just environment wise? Yeah, be in the sun. Be in the sun as much as you possibly can. It's in sun angle wise, it's kind of 10 to 2. You know, the time when you get the most sunburned or sun tan is the best time to be in the sun. If you eat more omega-3 fatty acids, it will improve your sun's resistance. Your skin's resistance to the sun. So a lot of us get sunburned pretty easy now. Again, if you want to kick that up, eat more omega-3s. And the reason we get so sunburned is because we don't eat enough omega-3s right now, and we need them for our solar defense. But anyway, if you eat more, then it'll protect you, and you won't need all that sunscreen and stuff. And again, sunscreen isn't very good for you. But we weren't here to talk about the sun and all that. We're just talking about your immune system. So again, be in the sun. Be in the sun as much as safely possible, okay? Very, very good for your immune system. The second thing is diet. And we need to be concerned with certain things in our diet for our immune health. And they're really things that we need to be concerned with anyway. We humans are a big fat machine. So we take in dietary fats and we use dietary fats to build chemical mediators. And we also use dietary fats to build fuels to run us. So dietary fats are super important. And in particular, we have 3 categories of fat. So polyunsaturated fats, and we're going to come back to those and talk about those a lot. We have monounsaturated fats, and monounsaturated fats you can find in nuts mainly. They're anti-inflammatory. And then you have saturated fats, which most of us know about, we hear about all the time, but saturated fats are in, like palm oil is saturated fat, palmitic, acid is saturated fat. But saturated fat is mainly found in animal products. So if we eat a lot of meat, then we're going to eat a lot of saturated fat. An avocado will have a little bit of saturated fat in it, pretty good balance, but it'll also have monounsaturated fat. So it's kind of balanced as to an inflammatory fat and an anti-inflammatory fat. Whereas if I'm eating meat, I'm pretty much just getting all the inflammatory type fats as saturated fats in that meat, okay? So be aware, again, if you're a meat eater, then you're going to want to offset more with monounsaturated fats and the polys that I'll talk about in a second. If you're not a meat eater, again, you're going to want to eat a lot of beans and nuts to balance those type fats. And if you're not a meat eater, you are probably going to be a little bit more concerned about the type and quality of saturated fat that you eat. Those 2 fats are saturated and monounsaturated are super important, but by far and away, the most important fats that we eat on the daily are things called polyunsaturated fatty acids. These are essential fatty acids, meaning that your body cannot make them. Your body needs them, and we'll talk about the ways that it needs them right now. So what do you do with polyunsaturated fatty acids? Well, there's 2 types of them, omega-6s, which are inflammatory, and omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory. Now, you don't need as much polyunsaturated fat as you need the other types of fat. So you can eat polyunsaturated fat as maybe 20% of your total fats, 10 to 20%, let's say. But it is super important to balance omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Otherwise, we'll get into trouble, okay? And so in omega-3 and omega-6 balance, about 1:1 to 1:4 is optimal. And you can look this research up. This is by a lady named Dr. Artemis Simopoulos, who is a friend. Just corresponded with her via email a couple of days ago. So Artemis is a great lady. She did the yeoman's work on all of this and did most of the work on O3-O6 balance, okay? So O3-O6, again, 103 to 106 to 103 to 406 is optimal, and we operate very, very well in those ratios. If I begin to alter that ratio, we begin to get messed up. So if I alter it too much, we begin to have pretty much all the things that we see right now out in society. So we have lots of inflammatory diseases, we have metabolic syndrome, we have cancers, pretty much everything that we see in our society. And that's because right now in our society, we are at 1 to 20. So 1 omega-3 to 20 omega-6s. And there's so much research that says that that is so harmful for you and it will hurt you in the exact ways that we see happening out there right now. The other thing it'll do is it'll cause you to get sun damage. Again, if you're eating 1 to 20, O3 to O6, your skin is going to be super susceptible to UV damage, and you're going to be way more likely to get skin cancer than you would if you ate more omega-3s. But let's talk about a little bit more in detail, let's say, about what happens. So as I eat omega-3 fatty acids, I build all of these, let's say, anti-inflammatory mediators that are kind of my frontline immune mediators. As I eat omega-6 fatty acids, I eat all the inflammatory immune mediators that I need to be able to inflame when I get injured, okay? So in the ratios that we're eating, again, we're eating 20 times more inflammatories than we are anti-inflammatories. Does that matter? Yeah, 80% of us will die of some inflammatory disease, throwing heart in there. But 80% of us will die of an inflammatory disease. So yes, this matters in a big way. And literally it could be changing that statistic could be as easy as just changing the omega-3, omega-6 fatty acid ratios. It's super important if we're going to run our immune system to have balance. So we need to be in that 1-to-1 to 1-to-4 omega-3 to omega-6. If we're not, we're going to have way too many inflammatory mediators. So when I get infected by a pathogen, I'm going to inflame way more than my ability to deflame. And that's detrimental. That's going to cause chronic inflammation. And I can tell you from thermal imaging that everyone, I mean every single person that I thermal image is chronically inflamed. And literally this, could be as easy as just upping omega-3s. We won't know until we do it. But anyway, diet-wise, for your immune system right now, because of everything that we eat in the ratios, omega-3s are critical to being able to defend ourselves. So where do you find omega-3 fatty acids? Chia seeds. Chia seeds is the best way. Chia seed oil, chia seeds on the baking aisle. Hemp seeds have other fats in them, so it's not just like all omega-3, nor is chia seed, by the way. So just chia seed has more omega-3 in it than it has omega-6, and it's got more omega-3 in it than other fats.